Welcome to the Libido Lounge, where we focus on all things love, lust, and libido. We believe that fabulous sex is important to health as exercise and good food. Everybody, welcome back to the lounge. In this particular episode, we're going to talk about lifestyle for libido. And one of the most important tips for improving libido and improving orgasm and improving your sex and relationship life in general is learning how to be more and more present in the body. So, what do I mean by that? So, I know some of you guys know what I mean by that, but I also believe that some of you guys probably don't. So, just a real quick overview of what I mean when I say in the body and being in the body. What I mean is being present to the five senses, being present to the touch of your skin, right? Being present to how it feels when your hand is, say, on your arm, when your partner's hand is on your arm. Be present to any smells or sounds, right? The five senses. And to really experience the five senses, we really need to be in the body, of the body. And so the practice of pleasure really is the practice being present. And this is true not just in the bedroom, but for anything. So have you ever had that experience where you are eating a meal and it's a lovely meal and maybe you're out to eat or somebody cooked it for you, you cooked it yourself, and you scarf it down because you're just eating quickly, right? And all of a sudden you look down at your plate and the meal's gone or the dessert is gone. And it's like, holy cow, I hardly even took a moment to enjoy that, right? So that is not being in the body. When we're in the body with food, we're really slowly chewing. We're allowing ourselves to experience the flavors, the textures. We're really allowing ourselves to experience that whole, say, sensorial impact on our body and our taste buds. And the same thing is true in the bedroom. So when it comes to things like enjoying sex, when it comes to things like enjoying and reaching orgasm, when it comes to things such as being closer and more connected to our partner's body, our partner's needs, our partner's desires, and to receive our partner's gift of touch, it's so much deeper when we're actually in the body experiencing things. So this means that the mind is not wandering to the grocery list or the kids or what you're going to do after sex, right? And if you're like me, of course you've had situations where your mind does that, right? That's so natural. So the idea of lifestyle for libido is really beginning to practice more and more, experiencing the sensations of the five senses and being present with them in our day-to-day life so we can then bring it into the bedroom. So and there's a lot of people that talk about meditation and mindfulness and visualization. And all of those types of conversations in many ways bear so much similarity to this because a lot of those types of techniques are about being present in the moment, about not going down and chasing the thought, right? So if you're in the bedroom, if you're making love, if you're doing any other beautiful sexual act, then what you might find is if your mind wanders and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, why am I thinking about the grocery list during sex, right? How did that happen? So if you find your mind doing that, then we want to take a moment and we want to realize it just like as if you were practicing meditation and bring that mind back to how does it feel with my partner's hand on my thigh, right? How does it feel when he grabs my hips? How does it feel when we look into each other's eyes? And the more we can practice these sorts of things, one, the more sex becomes enjoyable, right? The more we tend to feel more lubricated. It's very interesting to me. I've noticed that when I have caught my mind wandering during sex, and then all of a sudden I bring it back, I can actually sense on some subtle level with my partner that he can feel that, right? Because all of a sudden there'll be a moan, there'll be something that is happening that is making me realize, oh my gosh, he can sense, at least subtly, when my mind wandered, but all of a sudden my mind came back, right? So the more we can keep our mind present the more we get to enjoy things, right? And so this is where life is a practice for sex and sex is a practice for life, right? Because the more we begin to control the mind and we tell the mind, hey, I want you to be focused on, whatever is in front of us, the more we actually see stress reduction. We see neurological plasticity, right? It's like with meditation and mindfulness, we see so many benefits to the nervous system. Well, sex and tuning into the tactile senses are practices of mindfulness. They're different sorts of mindfulness activities. And you can do mindfulness by going on a mindfulness based type of walk. And a mindfulness based type of walk is where instead of say listening to your music or listening to a something on your phone as far as maybe an audible book or doing something with your mind where your mind is all over the place and you're processing, like those things are beautiful and do them. But a mindfulness based walk is where you're walking and you're tuning in with your five senses. So you're noticing the birds, you're noticing the trees rustling in the wind, you're noticing the color of the leaves. Maybe if you're on a trail, you're noticing the leaves crinkle under your steps or the branches break under your steps, something like that, right? So those are mindfulness based walks because you're tuning into the senses. And the more we tune into the present, the more we bring that into the bedroom, the more we practice that in life, the more it naturally comes in the bedroom where, sure, the mind wanders sometimes, right? And especially for women, because we take in so much information because we have this very wide awareness of how estrogen impacts the brain. And we're taking in a lot of awareness in our surroundings all the time. So it's very normal, especially for women, because our focus, the point of how information comes into our brain is quite a bit different than men. So it's very, very, say, normal for the mind to wander. But the more we practice this, the more we begin to allow it to stay hyper focused on the sensations of the body. And I also find that when we're talking about orgasm, and there are so many women who have a difficult time reaching orgasm or who have never reached orgasm. So if you're in that camp of people, you're not alone, right? There's about 20% of people that are have a very difficult time to never achieving orgasm statistical lens, right? So it's very, very common. It's very, very normal. And for many women, even if they can reach orgasm easily, it's easily after 20 to 40 to 60 minutes, right? So all of these stats depend upon how we define easy. If we're saying, oh, easy is having an orgasm in 5 minutes or less with a partner, not very many women fit into that, or even 10 minutes or less with a partner, not very many women fit into that. And so with orgasm, there is a component of that for women that it does take women longer to respond. It does take our blood longer to get to the erectile tissue, right? We just have a slower response time based upon our anatomy and physiology. So that's very, very normal. And the experience of orgasm is the experience of letting go of everything around us and deeply being able to tune into our own pleasure. So orgasm really is a mindfulness activity because if we're not tuned in to the sensations that are happening in our body, it's very difficult to come. It's very, very, very difficult, if not completely impossible. So a lot of the enjoyment and a lot of the pleasure really comes from that practice of staying present. I'm a runner, and in running, there's this thing called a runner's high, right? So it's talked about a lot and I've experienced it a huge amount of times. And it's this endorphin type of rush that happens when we push through something. And usually when runners are running and they're pushing through that pain, right? That pain where the body's saying stop and the mind saying keep going. There's a level of like hyper focus, right? So sometimes I count steps. I'm doing I'm focused on my breathing, but everything is like so focused because there's so much pain. My mind can't wander another place. It's just focused on getting to that point where all of a sudden the pain goes away and the endorphin rush comes in, right? And from a pain standpoint, and some people are very into BDSM and those sorts of things. And so from a pain pleasure, there's a fine line. That's a different conversation though that I'm having here. The conversation of how the runner's high is related to the orgasm is also related to the idea of presence. So in order to get to that point where that endorphin rush is happening, usually I have found that there's this need to stay very, very, very present with what's happening. My mind is not wandering. And same thing with the orgasm high, right? It's like that need to stay super uber present in order to feel that. So what are the actionable steps with that? So the actionable steps are twofold. One is, what can you do in your life to encourage more presence? This can be simple things like building in time every day for you to feel the senses. So maybe this is when you eat. Maybe this is like making sure that you have at least one meal a day where you are eating. And as a naturopathic doctor, I am very into the concept of like we should chew our food always. But from a standpoint of pleasure and a standpoint of really enjoying pleasure, I know that the reality is that sometimes food is eaten in the car, or it's a smoothie that's sipped while you work and that sort of thing. So from the standpoint of pleasure, can you have one meal a day where you are eating slowly enough to really begin to taste all the flavors? Can you have a cup of tea before bed or a glass of wine at dinner where you're really not just like sipping it because it's there, but actually taking the time to allow it to fill your palate, to experience the pleasure, right? To allow those waves of pleasure wash over you. Can you take a bath on a regular basis, on a weekly basis? You might have to schedule it if you're busy, right? And can you take a moment, even if it's 10 minutes in the bathtub, where you put some good salts in, you close your eyes, and you just focus on the water on your skin and that feeling, and you just focus on the smells of maybe the lavender and the bath salts in the bathtub, and dimly lit candles, the looks of how your bathroom looks under dim light, right? All of these types of thoughts and all these types of feelings, right? So that's the day-to-day, is how can we bring more sensation into life? I find that dance is a really, really wonderful way of doing this. I feel like salsa dancing, or a lot of the Latin dances I have seen do a lot with bringing one's into one's body. Pole dancing, I completely love for this as well. The big thing with dance and new techniques, though, is that initially a lot of these things are very heady, because you have to think about like, how do you step? How do you move your hips? How do you grab the pole, right? How do you allow your partner to lead you? So in the beginning dance, some of those types of dances can be very, very heady before your body learns it, and then you can just focus on the feeling. But freeform dance is a really easy way of getting into the body. Putting music on and letting your body move, but really trying to move in a way where you're actually moving from the body, not the brain. So what does that mean? That means that you're feeling how you're taking a second to be still, and you're feeling the movement almost like start from your hips, and you don't have an agenda. You're just feeling the way that your body wants to move with the music. And if your brain starts going, you find yourself thinking, you bring your back to, how do my hips want to move? How do my shoulders want to move? How do my hands want to move? Right? And so that's the lifestyle practice. The bedroom practice is very similar, but it's from the standpoint of really intending to feel the tactile of your partner, right? How are you feeling their thigh against yours? How are you feeling your hands on each other's bodies? How are you looking into each other's eyes? Right? All of these types of things. And if your mind wanders, like I'm saying, catch it as soon as possible. Don't judge it. Don't shame yourself for it. Don't feel guilty for it. It's natural. It's normal. This is all a practice. But bring your mind back to the body. So the moment you see your mind, or you recognize that your mind is moving, immediately bring your mind back to like, oh, what does it feel like in my vagina and my vulva and my genitals? What does it feel like on my breast? What does it feel like on my thigh, right? So you want to take in all of this information. So this is hopefully giving you guys a lot to work with. I'd love to hear any sort of comments from you guys. I would love to make this interactive. Any other embodiment type of activities that you guys use? I think this is a great conversation because there's so many different types of activities out there. I hope this has been immensely helpful and that you'll share it with your friends. And again, I'm Dr. Diane, the Libido Doc, reminding you to always stay sexy, always stay classy, and always remain a little badassy. Thank you for listening to the Libido Lounge. Please don't keep me a secret. Please share this with your friends. You can find me on YouTube, on Instagram, as well as how to work with me at mylibidodoc.com.